Well, we've got James Camali and Matt Einstein on the line with us here, and we're going to talk about their film, The Mental State, which has done quite well for itself. It's swept the Catalina Film Festival, winning Best US Feature Film, Best Director, and Best Male Lead. So good afternoon, James and Matt. How are you both?
We're good. Or I'm good. I'm good.
What would you say The Mental State is actually all about?
The mental state focuses on sort of a lot on teenage mental health and access to healthcare and gun violence here in the U.S. And specifically, it brings the story towards a school shooting scenario, which is kind of a unfortunate, relevant topic year after year here in the States. So we set out to try to make a film that helped capture not so much the experience inside the school as much as like sort of the hurricane of things that can happen to somebody that leads them to that situation here in the US. So.
Yeah. And is it quite hard to make a film about such a big, maybe controversial topic and, such a massive thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly from myself as one of the co-writers and the director, and then even down through the cast and everybody involved, I think it's hard to, it's a hard piece to sell to people, because of what you just mentioned. And I think, everybody who came to set and came onto this project, Matt included as the producer, everybody just wanted to treat the topic with as much sort of respect and reverence as possible to make sure that, we made something that was just respectful to parties involved. So, and so far, those that we've shown it to, from people who've had a mental health crisis to people who are from, it's based in Kentucky, a state here in the U.S. That's had a couple of school shootings, to people in those areas that we've screened it to. Everybody's had a really positive response to the film, as positive as you can, given the subject matter, so.
Yeah. You were the director, James, and Matt was one of the producers. What was your kind of working relationship like?
We tried to, even though it was very sensitive subject matter, as James mentioned, and some of the shooting conditions up in Syracuse, New York, as I'm sure you know about the fun weather in Glasgow or in Scotland, Toby, it can get a little frosty up there, and we were definitely dealing with some external circumstances with regards to the weather and snow and some difficulty there. That being said, James and I had a wonderful working relationship, and we try to, even though again it's dealing with such a heavy subject matter, bring as much joy to the set as we could every day. And we still remember always that we're not curing cancer, we're not developing rocket scientry, we are making movies, and we try to enjoy every day. Obviously there are circumstances that occur that you can't do that. That being said, James is a pleasure to work with. He comes very prepared every day. He's, and he and I together, we really enjoyed working with each other. And that's why we're doing something else now, which I'll keep under wraps for this sake of this patient.
And you say you're not curing cancer or anything like that, but do you feel like you are trying to make some kind of social change with this film?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the end of the day, we just wanted to bring, like I mentioned, as many perspectives into this story, between the school shooter himself, people who are involved in it, the family especially. And we just wanted to sort of remind audiences what it means to empathize with kind of everyone involved in a situation like this, and what it, and what it could possibly take to get somebody to do this sort of thing, because, it's a very relevant thing. It's been a very relevant thing for my, at my age, coming up in the US, we would have lockdown drills. I don't know how it is much outside the US. I know that it has happened elsewhere, but, we would have lockdown drills kind of in the middle of the day. And, it's, what that means to tell a bunch of children from, 10 years old through high school that you have to worry about, somebody coming into the school or even a classmate. And so, we wanted to make sure that we just brought some empathy to a story like this.
Yeah, that's something that, I don't know about other countries, but certainly in the UK, we can't really relate to at all. We had this school shooting about 12 miles from here in Dunblane back in 1996. And after that, it's never happened again because of all sorts of things we've brought in place. It is hard as someone from the UK to relate to that. Do you think that outside of the US, this film will still do well? Because I think there are still people that feel strongly about American gun laws, even though it doesn't directly relate to them.
I think that that's only one topic of our film. I think something else that has been, unfortunately, more and more relevant is the mental health crisis surrounding teenagers around the world. And I don't think that was helped in any way by the lockdowns or COVID in general. I think, it's become, I think it's not only become a bigger problem around the world with, rise in teenage depression and suicides and, the like, but also I think it has become something that is finally a little bit less taboo to talk about, and people are more willing to broach the subject of mental health. So that we would hope that at least, internationally, for audiences that can't relate necessarily to the school violence and the gun violence, which is obviously a terrible series of tragedies here in the States, that there would maybe be some intrigue about that, and certainly some relation to mental health being something that we should focus on around the globe as things move forward.
Yeah. And the film is, of course, called The Mental State. So was it always the plan to have mental health as a huge theme? Yeah,
the film is actually based off of a play of the same name that was written back in around 2014-ish. And the playwright of that, had a big focus on mental health and, wanting to speak to also teenage mental health issues and crises and stuff. And as I had mentioned before, the story takes place in a state called Kentucky, which at the time and still kind of does has some of the worst access to mental health services, like public access. So that was certainly always a big theme of the film.
Now, you touched on earlier, and I don't know how much you want to give away, but what are you working on at the moment that you've got coming up?
I think Matt and I both have a bunch of projects in the works. One in particular that we're working on together is just to put it very briefly, a short film right now that kind of captures some of the LA personalities you would find here in Los Angeles. I think, Matt, if you want to expand on that, but I think that's as much as I'll put out there for that. But
it's a satire about the fake it to make it culture in LA. And it also deals with the fun of poking at crypto bros and crystal girls. And I'll leave it at that. But we're shooting a tonal piece that we're turning into a TV series. And again, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, where can we find this film, The Mental State? I mean, where is it? Where can we see it?
That is still being worked on as we speak. So we have a sales agent on board, and we are trying our best to push it out to the world right now. So it's still in some festivals coming up. There's one in Chicago, perhaps, it seems. And we were just in one in Kentucky this past weekend, so still working on it. But we'll let you know as soon as it's up.
Which we won, by the way?
Yeah, we won Best there. So
we've had a series of festival wins now at the movie. We've taken home some laurel or another in 4 festivals. Best film in New Jersey, best film, best director, and best lead for Jance Enslin, who played Andy in the Catalina Island Film Festival. Best lead again at the prestigious Newport Beach Film Festival. And then finally, we just won this
Fest.
The Best of Fest this past week.
Many thanks for joining us. It's been great to talk to you both today.
Awesome. Thank you, Toby.
Take care, my man.